We have some sound, hopefully. All right, perfect. Sweet. This is SEO This Week, episode 177. This is going to be the last week that I actually do SEO, the show, in this format. I'll kind of explain more later. We have 14 news stories we got to go over this week that I think you guys will enjoy and get a lot of benefit from. And then I'll talk about where the show's going, what we're going to do, what my plan is for the news roll-up, and then how we're going to take SEO This Week forward. So with that being said, I am going to go ahead and jump to my screen. All right, so here we go. First one, how to identify local keywords in bulk. So I think as SEO practitioners, with any amount of experience, you kind of tend to figure out how to do keyword research in your own way that works for you, etc. But sometimes it's good to just hear new ideas and new tips and kind of new ways to break out things. And so this one it's a decent post. There's a couple of uses for this. One is if you were running your own agency and stuff, look at this process and look how he wrote this blog post out and then kind of turn that into, I'm not going to say a SOP, but maybe a PDF handout that you can drop into your emails as part of an onboarding sequence for new clients. So they sign in, they go into your CRM, and then like every 3 days you send them some new thing. Hey, this is what we're going to look at. This is where you're not saying specifically where you're sending your, where you're at in that campaign. You can do that and kind of say, all right, so, hey, Mr. Client Man, we're doing your keyword research right now. Here's this PDF explaining it and why we're doing it and why you should care, and then a brief overview of the method. In this case, the author is using Screaming Frog to do some localized search result. And he's walking through and he's showing you how to actually connect and use this Google search string and the parameters inside of it to change that up a little bit and find some new information data and then scrape it all inside of Scrapebox, which is really cool. What I thought was interesting is just because I never thought I'd use Scrapebox that way, right? So check this out. Obviously, it's on local U. You guys all know I hate giving Joy Hawkins and her crew any special attention, but this is a good one. This is a decent post, and I think you'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy the method. And then to go further into what I was talking about with clients, Google Tables, for example, I don't know if you guys know this, but Google Tables is out now. And basically it's there. It's like a mixture of Fusion and Google Sheets and automation all into one little like thing. So you can do project management in there. And in the onboarding phase or that first month phase, what you can do is, hey, you're going to do keyword research. So as your SEO or your team or even you takes on the keyword research part, you click it and you say, like in progress. And then with Google Tables, you can actually set up an email, the trigger, when you switch that to in progress, that'll send an email out with a PDF to a piece of content like this so that your client can read what the hell that thing is, right? You don't even have to do a PDF. You can just do like a short document or a knowledge base on your website or just a regular text email if you want to, but it kind of just outlines, where we're doing this and why we're doing it. And I think that would be a great idea and a great use of this. Not only the first half here, that'll be perfect, and then try out the second half with the with your Screaming Frog subscription and get some more out of it. All right, this one is it's a case study, and I like this because there's actually people out doing testing and writing this stuff up, so it's really nice. And this is from Tobias Willman, and he's looking at how he can game the Giphy and search and tenor, the two GIF search points. And I don't know, like from an SEO perspective, you're going to get a whole lot of value of knowing how to do that, other than your GIFs are kind of shared around and looked at and popular. And maybe if you brand your GIFs so that if they're shared some more, people will see your brand flying around the internet. I'm not really all into the Giphy, so I don't know like the ins and outs. Like, can I scrap some backlinks from there, for example? That kind of stuff. I'm not really sure, but if any of you know, that'd be pretty cool to hear. But he is using the analytics data inside of these tools and checking out and seeing if he can increase the views, and he increases, artificially inflates them, will artificially inflate the rankings. So you guys all, if you mess with SERP, CTR rate and views and all that stuff for Google and YouTube, then it's the same application inside of here. And he goes through and he outlines the tests and his test results. And it's kind of really, at the end of the day, it seems like it's kind of the same as the other search engines. Is, you show up, you get a lot of stuff and you get a whole bunch of views and et cetera. And then at the end of the day, when you stop doing it, eventually you drop down. There is a nice little hack in here though, in case you're checking out these sites and you're making, like I said, brandable memes and GIFs, is find the ones that have, like, do a search and find the ones that are really low. In this case, they show 20 and maybe there wasn't even 20 listed. So he made up some and it's instantly there and in your face for the searcher. So this is a pretty cool blog post. It's informative in that, there's some other places you can game and you can use traffic and the analytics and the data inside of those to game that to get higher exposure for your brand. This Content King, it's this one's actually from February, but I just found it. I think that's kind of representative. These guys put out great content, but their promotion of their content kind of sucks. And it's all of us. That's something that all of us have issues with. Even I have issues doing that with SEO this week. And my blog posts and stuff, like I put it out on Facebook and maybe my LinkedIn, do a little tweets, and then ta-da, I've promoted it. And nobody sees it, nor sees it for a long time. But this is actually a decent one. The key in here is you're looking through, and this is kind of an interview, and I was just talking about enterprise SEO and the different struggles that you get with it. But what I liked in here, and I wanted to point it out, is this definition here. It's enterprise SEO is often incorrectly described as search engine optimization at large websites. We define enterprise SEO as search-driven business strategy. It's more of a business partnership than a vendor relationship. That's okay. The other one that I saw in here is that it's taking enterprise SEO from, and I think this was updated from when I read it, but the original definition that they had in here was enterprise SEO is combining the process of combining your PPC, your social media, and the rest of your marketing efforts together, and ergo, you're conducting enterprise SEO. So I don't know if that's kind of a cop-out because they don't have a whole lot of big websites, or it's really smart. And to me, I think that's it's really smart when you're talking about it in a positioning manner. Hey, we sell SEO, we'll optimize your website and do great and wonderful things. Or we do an enterprise SEO campaign combining content marketing, search engine optimization, social media, and PPC to leverage your brand and increase your exposure to clients. Which one sounded better, right? So I think it's something you guys need to consider and looking at possibly repositioning your offers. Now, if you're like me, you kind of do all that stuff together anyway, right? We set up brand networks, a la like the IFTTT thing that, we got to look at or work around because that's going pro. We set up syndication. We broadcast stuff. We look at branding from a search engine perspective and establishing the entity and GMB maps for local and all that wonderful stuff, right? And that will kind of carry over into this whole enterprise SEO thing, and you can reposition your sales a lot better. So something worth trying out. Check that over at Content King. How can you use brands? How can brands use the power of pop-ups to improve their brand awareness? Now, this one is kind of interesting. Like from a user perspective, we all hate pop-ups, right? Every time I go over to this site, there's a damn pop-up. And then every time you open like a Neil Patel site, there's the pop-up and then that big old slider hero, and then the chat thing comes out and the thing on the side. And it all kind of irritates us, right? So I'm thinking, but if you're thinking from a marketer's perspective, like when I had a pop-up on Digital Ear, that's where all my leads came from. Like I have, if you ever looked at the site, I had a newsletter subscription thing down here, kind of gay, right? And then and that sort of sometimes generated content for me or leads. But I also had a pop-up, and then I had a forum bar in here. And the one that always captured the leads was the pop-up. And I'm not no magic copywriter, so it wasn't that my copywriter is great. It's like sign up to my newsletter and I can email you endlessly, that kind of stuff. That's how bad the copy was. And it always generated more leads, which is at the end of the day, that's what we really want. So in this case, it's put your marketer's hats on and then take a look at using pop-ups to increase your signups, etc. It's one of the things I'm going to be doing over at Digital Ear. I'm going to put a pop-up back on it. And then we're going to promote a newsletter, which will power SEO this week. More on that later. Robbie Richards, you all know I'm a real big fan of Robbie. I bought his course. I talk about just about every time he publishes a piece of content. I show it off. And that may seem a little counterintuitive. I'm a digital marketing agency, and I'm sharing this guy's stuff that actually teaches you how to not use digital marketing agencies. But if you're going to go all in and kind of do it yourself, then why not have the best information? That's kind of the way I look at it. And I think Robbie does a really good job of presenting the stuff in clear, concise language. There's nothing overly complicated, etc. But he walks through just simple 19 tips you can do. Really, most of it's leveraging tools, and leveraging some of the free spreadsheets that he's got out, etc. If you've never been to one of his things, he's really heavy in Google Sheets and he's real heavy in SEMrush. And then there's a couple other things like like this one. I don't use GT metrics. Fail. But the site performance in SEMrush, kind of okay, right? But he talks about a lot of things that, frankly, if as agencies, if clients, devs thought a little bit about this stuff, it would make their campaigns a lot smoother and work a lot faster. So this is just something that I think you guys should check out. It's really worth it. And I really like that he's giving away a lot of these templates and stuff. So check out Robbie's post. This one's interesting. Jordan Pierce, he saw this and he's kind of like, duh, talking about it forever. And Jimmy Kelly was talking about it and how he doesn't even fill in his meta descriptions at all. I know a few people that do that don't even write meta descriptions because they're not a ranking factor. So why would I fill them in? I'll just let Google pick the right one. And I kind of in the camp of it's there, I need to fill it out for CTR. And this study I don't know who did it, but they say they checked over 30,000 keywords, and the meta descriptions were changed based on the search result. Now, that's not the first time we've all seen that. If you optimize a page for, city SEO, for example, and then someone searches best city SEO, and you mention best city SEO in your content, Google's going to go in there and take out that little sentence from city SEO and pop it into your meta description, because that's the section of your page that's related to that. We've all seen that. We've all done it. So this really, there's a specific crowd that's kind of like, oh my God, it's so shocking, but is it really? So if you're optimizing and you're optimizing it for a certain term, city SEO, for example, and you list on city SEO, Google will pick the one that you pick. And if it's long tails or whatever, Google's going to either pick the one you pick or go into your content because it found that term in there somewhere and put that sentence in there. So it's kind of a hit or miss of whether this goes. Just because they happen to search 30,000 out of the gajillion words that you can do and found that 70% of them, interesting, but not really life-shattering. Some new things that I did see, shout out to Carolyn Holtzman. She found, and there was someone, I think it was Muhammad Issi is his name. I believe that's his name. He actually, both of them found in an instance where the anchor text came through and Google changed the title based off of the anchor text. That was kind of interesting. One that I've seen is I have city SEO pages on digitalear.com, and that in my H1 tag says city SEO and web design. When web design searches, Google changes my title tag to my H1 because now that searcher is looking for web design, and I've not optimized, but I have web design inside of my H1, so ergo it's relevant. So that's pretty cool, and just see some ways that Google's getting smarter, and people can now intentionally rank for multiple keywords within that same market set if they want to. So I think that's kind of good. All right, this one is Reddit announces inventory type. I've shown this one just because I'm not sure how many of you are into Reddit ads. I'm looking into it some more for promoting services and reaching new clients. And this one is just kind of it's really an answer to everyone crying or brand shaming brands because their ads happen to show up on other than less desirable videos and less desirable posts and around less desirable posts and all that malarkey. So this is Reddit's answer to that. And you can use expanded, which is pretty much, we don't care, show it up to everybody. You use standard, is kind of, it's, you won't get shown on, it's designed for those groups, and it filters out those groups that, are considered bad in the eyes of cancel culture or whoever else. And then you have this limited where you can get really strict with it. And I think that's kind of cool that they added that. It allows you as an advertiser to, pick your poison, as it were, and, just prepared in the modern day of social media madness that goes on right now, that you might have to deal with some of that, especially from the Reddit crowd that is notoriously tough on people who advertise for whatever reason other than they can. SEO by the Sea. This is a featured snippet answer scores ranking. So we all know Bill Slawski. We all know the information he puts out, and he kind of tries to make sense of these patents for us. And I consider myself a reasonably smart guy, and I read these things, and it's like reading Chinese. And then I read Bill's, and it's like reading half Chinese and half English, because while he does some highlighting and stuff, and most of the time it's just kind of like, what the hell is he, like, put it in English, Bill. You know what I mean? So I'm going to try to do that for you. And basically what this patent is doing, there's scores, right? So you have this query dependent score. How related is it to the actual query? Okay. And then you have, and that's coming in kind of there's two little algorithms inside of this patent that actually run this query. It's dependent and independent. And those combine and then to say this is your score. And then it rolls down and you have a candidate answer and an answer score that goes along with it. And then this answer score is what triggers your page showing up or not over someone else's. So if you read this and you read through kind of Bill's half Chinese, half English explanation of it, is basically it's saying that the algorithm now, under the guise of this patent, assuming they implement it, will take these two scores and they'll grade it. This one will be how many words are inside of your answer that are related to, semantically related to the keyword that was searched. And then actually it's the other way around, directly related to the keyword to search. And this one is semantic related to the keyword to search. And if you hit both of these really high, you get a higher score. And then it bounces that passage off of everyone else's to create your answer score. And then your answer score is then turned into where you rank, or if you rank or not for a featured snippet. It's kind of cool. Not necessarily don't know really how you're going to game that. I would say, making sure your query has the exact match you're targeting, and then probably entities and highly related TD, IDF terms or LSI or whatever you want to call them in there to hit the high query independent score, just to make sure that yours goes a lot better. Steve taught the talk on how he's doing it using Google Docs and the autofill suggestions, and there's some stuff in there. So no doubt this is NLP and application of NLP and the application of sentiment and entities and categories and topics all into one nice fancy thing to make the results quote unquote better. And this patent is a little bit more simple. The long and short of it is that Google is reading your emails, reading your social media posts, watching your browser history, seeing where you go, seeing where you write, seeing what people write about you, and then saying you are highly associated with this, and then it's creating a personal knowledge graph from you. So if you shut off all your stuff and you lock down your settings and you turn off all that privacy stuff that everyone leaves on by default anyway, you won't be affected by this. But if you do, then Google's going to pick what they think you are about. You can see that just kind of like Googling your name a little bit and looking at the images and looking at the entity stuff. So YouTube, he's an actor. There's SEO, digital marketing. So that's all related to me. Search engine or engine optimization, digital ear. And let's see, there's another one I saw the other night that I thought was kind of cool. Chris talks about schema a lot. So here's SEO, schema markup, clients, digital marketing, Labatt, SEO bank, agency. So he might not even necessarily be writing a whole bunch of piece of content or creating a whole bunch of videos, but the emails he's reading and writing, the social media posts he's doing, and all his talks about that have really associated him with these things. And as you see, that is the personal knowledge panel entity graph at work. I wasn't sure if I shared this one before or not, and I wanted to make sure that I got it out. And this is it's Python using machine learning to actually pull your related keywords and all that madness out of your search console. You get more data when you use the API versus using a download. So check that out and make sure and see if you want to. Like if you're like me, you're testing new and exciting things. My thing is Python and Java. So check it out if you're interested in See if you can leverage it for yourself. When I was talking about callouts, this is the post that does that. It's 6 audit tools that call out and drag out myths. It's pretty interesting, but one thing that I like here is there's some things that I agree with, like low word count. That's stupid. Why is it in there? Unless you have like 100 words or something like that. But well, we did some testing in SIA, courtesy of Saltera and Terry Samuels over there. They actually ranked a web page using schema, an image, and a video only, no words whatsoever. And this tool would have said, hey, that's bad because of low word count. So, I think this one is probably should be taken out, or at least not used as a warning. I guess warning would kind of apply. It's better than error, right? So that's not too bad. The other one is too much text within title tags. We've done some testing where we're actually seeing you can write an entire title tag, like your city. Let's go best remote control cars, right? So there's your main title tag you want to show. And then you can do a hyphen and then keyword stuff the crap out of best remote control cars, or remote control cars for kids, and remote control cars for adults, and remote control cars for the disabled, right? You can, and that title tag can be as long as you want. Google's not going to show it, but it's still all a part of your title tag. And I think the tools are kind of getting too narrow and saying, in so much as just because Google's only showing this, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing if your title tag's too long. So that's a good myth that they need to shut off, or at least change and address. Maybe change that. It's too much text for Google or the search engines to display the entire thing, and just to give you a heads up in case you didn't do it on purpose, the whole adding extra keywords to it. At least one keywords in your URL. This one I'm going to call out as BS. This is actually something that needs to be pointed out to everybody, right? So John Mueller said that the keyword in the URL, once the page is indexed, has low impact or is a low impact ranking factor. But try to rank a page without it for a specific keyword, and you'll see that it's a lot harder than if you had it in there, right? So while after it's indexed and then now it's not a ranking factor, it's kind of, to me, it's silly, right? Best practice and the search results all show predominantly pages that have the keyword in the URL structure are in the top 100, not even the top 10, the top 100. And then if you try to rank for that without it, you are setting yourself up for failure right off from the get-go. But once it's in there and it's in the index, well, no shit, it's not high. But it was when it first got indexed, right? It's still there. And it's not, no, people aren't necessarily going to go out and change their URLs unless they're silly. And take the keywords out. So to say that it's not a ranking factor is kind of weird. So I like the idea that that is actually in the tools, because it does make a difference and it should be pointed out. So that's kind of a BS thing. Page content isn't fresh. I agree that one shouldn't be in there. That's all search query dependent. Some search results are still showing stuff from 2004. I seen one the other day from 1997, for Christ's sake. But news and all that stuff all has to be fresh. So it's all query dependent. Your mobile page doesn't have an AMP version. That's kind of out of date now too. Even Google is changing the way the AMP carousel worked on mobile phones. And I talked about this in a recent video that they talked about this in a recent SEO Mythbusters video, where they thought that they had changed this so that you don't have to have AMP to be in those carousels anymore, and they're going back and fixing that if that's not the case. And then let's see, Jordan Pierce, you should look at Chewy.com's URL structure sometime. There's plenty of examples where you don't have keywords in your URLs. But to point out an 800-pound gorilla and say that because this 800-pound gorilla is going to get away with it, Paul Andre and his brand new website on dog stuff is going to rank too. It's complete bullshit comparison. So I'm not going to look at an 800-pound gorilla and then say that, oh, okay, yeah, so it shouldn't be that case, right? So if you have 100 million products and you have red widgets, white widgets, and blue widgets, but you're selling them all on a page of widgets, then I think you're going to be okay. But for the most part, if you can, and you're going after brand names and like you're selling the latest Elmo thing or whatever kids like these days, hell, I don't know. You should have the latest Elmo's name inside of the keyword, the URL. Yeah. So comparing the gorilla versus a Joe Smo site, like, I don't think it's really not, I want to say it's not fair. It's just kind of not realistic, right? Like you look at Amazon stuff if you want to, it's, and comparing yourself to Amazon. Why does Amazon have, why are they ranking and I'm not, and they don't have any backlinks? Well, because fucking everybody buys off of Amazon. So Google's good. Google likes Amazon. Let's see. And then no follow links on external links. That's pretty good. I kind of get rid of that one too, since Google has already come out and said, hey, no follow is now a hint. And we may or we may not crawl it, and we may or may not follow it. That's up to us. I think they were doing that way before in advance, and they just updated the documentation. So it's time to take that one out too. That's a good question. Mohammed Issi said, if you have an infinite scroll type page, is it possible to have a low count? Yeah. If you have an infinite type scroll page and you put nothing but images on it and don't have any words, then you have a low word count. That was pretty easy. Let's see. SWOT analysis of social media. This one's kind of cool. I'm doing some more work, and Jordan's kind of been there. Jordan Pierce, he's been there with me too. I don't know if you follow the saga that is Jordan, but sometimes he just throws up his arms and like, screw it, Facebook, I'm out, right? And I do that a lot. Like I'll delete it off my phone. I'll delete all social media off my phone, and then I miss all you folks, and then I'll put it all back on again. And so I started actually looking at new networks and new ways to engage on those networks. And first, before you do that, it's really, does it even matter? Like, are they there? Is your viewers there? For example, today is the first time that I am streaming on Periscope. SEO This Week is now streamed on 2 of my Facebook channels, Periscope and YouTube, and you can watch it on the site, right? And I was thinking about setting up a stream on Twitch at the same time, but there's all gamers over there. There's only 1 or 2 streamers that are even talking about marketing, much less SEO. And the ones that I did find just were like video recordings of little or no value. So I don't know, like, is my content going to be useful on Twitch? Is it going to cost me anything more to stream over there? I doubt it. I just have to plug in Restream.io and turn it on. But it doesn't make any sense. And for me, that SWOT analysis, or this concept of a SWOT analysis for social media, kind of helped me answer that question. The one I'm going through now is Mixcloud. Mixcloud, I don't know if you've used it before, but it's a lot of DJ stuff and radio. And they do have a podcasting audience over there, but most of it's music. But I think it's a good opportunity to reach a new market in so much as maybe promotion using SEO and PPC and social media to drive awareness for new DJs and stuff like that. So maybe those folks might get some value out of SEO this week. And so that may be something that we consider. turning on. That's a paid platform over there. So the show in the new format is going to have to actually make some money in order to justify doing that. And on top of that, when I do the new iteration and I turn everything back on, it's going to go back into Spotify, iTunes, and there's a couple of other SoundCloud for the podcasts. So we're going to bring the podcast back. So expanding the reach. TikTok. Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see if Microsoft gets it or not. If we're allowed to use it. Let's see. All right. This one, how to create an effective press page to attract coverage and links. That's from Ann Smarty. You guys may or may not know, I have a master's degree in public relations, and kind of the press page is one of the first things that you really do for a business. Is you set this up, and as you got this page specifically for your press releases you publish, you put downloads to your logos, marketing materials, and all that. Like if you wanted people to use this image to cite to this thing, then you put it on your press release page or your press page. And those do actually create a lot of backlinks, but it works better for known brands. So don't compare yourself to like an Amazon or a American Airlines and their press page and all that stuff, but you can still actually pop that out and do some decent stuff with it. And you can kind of highlight, like this says here, your past missions, your featured ins. You can highlight the contact information to reach out to you and your assets, and people can take these assets and actually link build with them and all that other stuff, and kind of set this up as a decent page. And it kind of sets you out when you're talking about a certain clientele. They kind of expect you to do a press page. They kind of expect that to be there, so people can learn more about you and research you before they do business with you on a 5-6 figure scale a month kind of business. So check this post out and consider setting up a press page. Pretty soon I'll have the new one set up on Digital Ear. And then we're going to start a really aggressive, is the word I want to use, PR campaign, kind of highlighting and adding fuel and leveraging the whole Google antitrust stuff going on right now. So we're going to do some cool stuff with that. And then finally, it's the last article's 15 no BS CRO tips to create blog posts that convert. I like this because this is really template based, and it kind of tells you how to get through and go through your numbers and say what should you do with it and stuff. And then you can actually create a whole new template with all the information in here. As search marketers, a lot of this stuff is kind of but it's good to actually be reminded of it once in a while and different things. Digital Marketer actually has templates for blog posts. I think I still have them. I can look real quick. But they have templates for blog posts that you can use over and over again for different applications. Let me see. I was sure I still had those. That was good. Yeah. I think this was one. Yep, there's one. And that's going to open up real slow. There you go. So do something like this, like set up your template, and this is what you're going to do and how you're going to put it in there, and then give that to your writers and be like, when you create my article, bear in mind it's going to go into this template format. So make sure you're doing kind of the same things to beef that up. And then it does remind you of some things you should do in the sidebar and stuff. You know, I got to drink my own Kool-Aid here and, adjust the sidebars and start put my lead maggots in and my tripwire offers. And I don't know about social. Maybe I'll put social in there, but you can see some here's this really good example during an interview post, and then you have a copy of the interview, then you have the audio, video, and then you have an opt-ins and stuff. So this is a really good set. I don't know if they're selling this or not anymore. I just happen to still have it on my digital desk drive. So you can use it, and it's really good, I think, in my opinion. All right, and that is it. That is the last of the stories. Alrighty, so I'm going to shut that off. We have any questions on those news stories? I know there's a lot of stuff. They fire off any new ideas for you. New test ideas, that'd be cool. Jordan's been really good about, he's been finding the exciting test ideas and kind of beating me down with those, and it's exciting to watch his mind work into different things and different ideas, and hey, what if we leverage it this way and that way and stuff. So shout out to Jordan for keeping me on my toes. All right, so the final news roll up. What the hell does that mean? So what I've been finding is that there's a lot of people now that have kind of jumped on the SEO news bandwagon. Her last name is Solis, Aaliyah Solis, for example. She started one. She's got 6,000 subscribers. Of course, she's always had a larger audience than I ever had. And that was email based. Steve Toth has SEO Notebook. That's email based. Insight and Visibility has one. That's email based. Matt Diggity's got one. That's email and website based. And Dre's just started the SEO video show. And so the SEO this week, and then you got like the Craig Campbells and stuff too, right? And they're all just kind of, it's hard to be like, I've done this for so long, but it's hard to actually compete in areas where you're just kind of beating a dead horse at times and doing the same stuff that everyone else is doing. And now that everyone else is doing SEO news roll-ups, it's just kind of a waste of time for me to do them. Especially in a video format, and then I got to do the post, and the post alone. I worked on this one until 11:30 at night last night, so there's 4 or 5 hours of prep time, making the images, and then I got to fight with all the tech stuff to turn the show on and all that. So there's like 5-6 hours out of my day, and it's a Monday, so I really don't. It's not like horrible because I'm ruining my Monday. It's Monday. I mean, who does anything really important on Monday anyway? But still, that's 5 or 6 hours that I could be using to build digital ear backup that I can use to promote whatranks.com and my courses there, that I can use to promote SEO Intelligence Agency and my partnership with Dory for the SIA testing, and then doing testing for the IMG testing group like I agreed to for Ted and Kyle. So at the end of the day, the news roll up, I mean, I'm getting 200 views per episode. That's 200 people that are watching, so it's not nothing. I don't want to disparage it, but it's only 200 when you compare other people that are doing a lot better than that. And I won't compare myself to Craig Campbell because I'm not using micro workers to get my views. But it's just, at some point you guys are just kind of tuning it out, and that's totally fine. I even get tired of this show sometimes. So what we're gonna do is no more news roll-ups inside of SEO this week. The video part, okay? I'm gonna put the pop-up back on, and if you want to get the news roll-ups and my insights on the articles, instead of just doing the article, and as you see now on the website, I'll show you what the hell I'm talking about. If you see on the website, I kind of put a short little blurb from the article in here. I'll actually give you the title of your article, what I think about it, and the link to get there to check it out yourself. And that's going to all be in email format from now on. So, and the email is not going, I'm not going to rehash this inside of an email. I'm just going to say, hey, I published this. Here's the list of the titles. that you're going to see in the post. And then you can see then when you come in here, you'll see all the articles. And then you'll see the show videos. What we're going to do with SEO this week with the show videos now is actually do audits. I'm coming up with a new site audit process, and we're going to break down websites. We're going to bust out the pens, and we're going to start drawing on screens. I'm going to show you site maps. We're going to show you keyword research sets. We're going to show you everything we do for an audit, so I can double dip and get 2 uses out of SEO this week. One is I get to give you guys high quality content you can actually use. And then 2, I turn the show essentially into a kick-ass lead magnet, right? So for example, let's kind of bust out like what we're going to do. And I'll tell you guys, because if you buy my course or you get into What Ranks or you join SIA, preferably if you join SIA, you actually see the over the shoulder as I rebuild Digital Ear. I'm targeting lawyers, cosmetic surgeons, and dentists. Those are the clients that I want from now on. And then everyone else that my website generates will kick over to Solterra, who are better equipped to handle plumbers, roofers, and all that other stuff. And Terry's agreed to do the same thing. He doesn't like lawyer clients. I like lawyer clients. So his lawyers, his cosmetic surgeons, and his dentists will come to me, and then I'll send all the rest of the stuff to him. So it's a good pairing, and we're in the same area, but we're not competing, right? So what we're going to do is actually just kind of go and we'll pick sites. Like in this case, this personal injury, the lawyer, Phoenix, Jesus, there you go. Holy crap. Phoenix. And then we're going to look at these ads and we're going to say, who's paying for ads? This is in the Hirsch and Lynn accident law. So they're paying for ads. They got money. Let's see where they're ranking. Looking, Hirsch and Lynn. Don't see them yet. Hirsch and Lynn. So they're number 12. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a site audit to figure out why Hirsch and Lynn is number 12. And then because we know that they have money and that they're willing to spend money to get traffic, we also now know that they're a good candidate for an SEO campaign. They have ads. They have they have conversion data to go with this ads because lawyers are not dumb, right? And they have the conversions and the call tracking and all that stuff that's spent out. And this is probably, my guess would be that there's probably at least, $20,000 in ad data inside of this guy's ad account that can tell us how to boost and what keywords are getting the most stuff. And we can, if we're able to figure that out and ascertain that and then put all that stuff together, it's going to be a no-brainer, right? So we're going to use this, and this is how we're going to handle SEO this week from now on from a different perspective. So I get to have SEO this week, site audit of Hirsch and Lyon, and then we'll rank the episode for Hirsch and Lyon. So it shows up on their brand search at the same time. So when they're searching for Hirsch and Lyon, they see that we're there, and then they see the audit, and they're like, "Oh snap! Look at what they did. They gave all this stuff, and they're telling me all this stuff, right?" And so I get 2 birds with 1 stone. I get brand new content for SEO this week, where you actually get to see some SEO stuff, and I get the outreach campaign is already there, so I can do the show, rank the page, rank the show, and then do the outreach emails and generate clients. So that way, it's kind of a win-win-win for everybody. So I think that'll be really cool. And I don't care if you don't think it's going to be cool because I think it's going to be cool. And so we'll see how that plays out for us. And at the same time, you guys get to learn a little bit about my process, build some trust and stuff. If you're thinking about, or you're kind of bouncing the ball and wondering if I should buy What Ranks or I should buy SIA and stuff, you get a little bit of exposure into how I think and the kind of stuff that's going inside of there at the same time. So I think it's going to be sweet. Okay. Anything else? Any more questions? Come on now. I can't see Periscope. I don't see the Periscope, like how many people are viewing. Maybe there's questions in the feed and stuff like that. Maybe next time I'll see about figuring out how to do that. I know there's really good people over at Periscope. They're doing some cool things on there, so that'd be awesome. Hope the lawyers don't sue you for sharing their information. Well, I would kind of hope that they would, because there's a lot of poor lawyers here in Yuma who have a whole lot of time on their hands. And that would be a frivolous lawsuit, because I'm not sharing their information. I'm looking at their websites that they have a public facing and telling them how to make it better. So won't be an issue for me. Let's see. Good. We need more over the shoulder. I agree. I don't think we do enough of that. I think there's a lot of talking at and not showing that, hey, I'm actually doing this kind of stuff, right? So the over the shoulder series for Digital Lear, I haven't got it caught up yet, but there's probably 7 hours of videos already there. And I have a new one I got to cut today for that series. I just uploaded 3 new videos to the schema course, and I have some new ones I got to make. So, and we're going to do part of SEO this week. Gonna do teasers for that. So I'll show you some of the stuff that I do for schema, build out like the first half in SEO this week, and then the more advanced stuff that I want to keep for the students, just so that we don't make the bar even with everybody, is we'll turn that into content for what ranks in the course. So I think it's a nice fair balance. I get to help out the community at large, and then I get to turn it into something for me as well. Let's see, average Strauss. Then they find this 1 in 6 years. Their droid tells its master in a mini board. This fast, long time game. Yeah. Okay. Average early. He's just getting up in the UK. Let's see. All right. I don't see any more questions. So I appreciate your comments. If you like the new idea of the site audits, let me know in the comments. Hit a thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you want. Engagement on YouTube, and then hit the subscribe button. And I look forward to seeing you on future episodes of SEO This Week. And one more reminder, join SIA if you want to see all the over the shoulder, my on-page course stuff, my schema course, all our test results. Join SIA. If you want to join my reciprocal linking network, sign up for free now. The link is in the description. You can upgrade later to pay if you want to. I'll be doing a new video on that, talking about some of the results that people have gotten that have already signed up. Obviously, I'm going to hide all the keywords and stuff, and I just want to highlight the good and the bad that's coming out of that. And then if you want the news roll-up stuff, when I put the pop-up back on the Digital Ear, sign up to that so you can get that in your email and just kind of know when that stuff's on the website as well. And thank you very much, and I will see you all on episode 178 next week.